Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good middle of the night, depending on where you're watching. Hopefully, you can hear me. Hopefully, you can see me. I am just checking that everything is going according to plan, but I am absolutely delighted to be here for this very special webinar, and I'm so pleased to see so many of you joining me here live today. This is a live stream in the middle of the holidays, and I need to begin by saying happy holidays. I hope that you've had a great time so far. And of course, the holidays season is continuing, and I wish you all the very best for the new year. And that's exactly what this webinar is all about. We're talking about 2024. Let me see if I can bring in my slides here. There we go. Language success in 2024. Now, this is a time of year for making changes, for starting new things. And of course, you can start something new at any time, but there's definitely something special about January the 1st, and that's just around the corner in, 3 days' time. And I tell you what else, especially when it falls on a Monday, because this year's January the 1st is on Monday, and that feels the perfect time to start something new or to make some New Year's resolutions. Now, New Year's resolutions, there are many people who make New Year's resolutions. There are also some people who continue a New Year's resolution. I was doing a little bit of research, and apparently about 31% of US residents and about 58% of UK residents are planning on making a New Year's resolution this year. But how many of us keep our resolutions going throughout the year? That is indeed the question. Well, the title of this webinar is Language Success in 2024. And in this webinar, I'm hoping to give you some strategies to supercharge your learning for 2024. We'll be looking at how to make your learning effective, how to set goals, and most importantly, how to stay motivated so that you can keep your learning going. And I'll also be revealing why now is the best time to start learning or improving your language. Now, I'm delighted to see so many of you here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for posting where you're learning from and which language you're learning. It's great to read all your comments. If at any point you've got some questions about either what I'm talking about or about our courses, then do post your questions in the chat. I'll be able to see them. And we'll hopefully have time a little later on for some questions. But I'm going to get straight into the content, straight into the webinar today. And hopefully this will be useful to you as you get ready for a new year of language learning. Before we get there, however, I've got a question for you. And my question is, what is the biggest challenge or obstacle that you've faced in 2023 that stopped you moving forward with the language that you're learning? I'm going to ask you that question. I'd like you to post some thoughts in the comments. And as you post your thoughts in the comments, I'm just going to check that everything is up and running and working as it should be. So bear with me one moment while you post your answers to that question. What has been the biggest obstacle that you faced in 2023, which has stopped you moving forward with the language that you're learning? So looking for your comments here. Okay, so we've got some answers. Angus is saying a job is the thing that stopped him continuing or making progress with the language that he is learning. Mickey's saying biggest obstacle, discipline. Very much something that we all need, especially at this time of year. Cynthia is saying, oh, this is coming so fast. Thank you for all your comments. I don't know where to start. Greg saying, sticking to my plan. Lorna saying the biggest issue is getting practice with native speakers. And Gail also saying live conversation practice. So lots of you, I'll read all of these comments later. Thank you so much for all the comments. Steve's saying, feel like I'm getting nowhere and moving forward. Gabber Saj saying, just time, busy with a job and kids. Yeah, thank you so much for all your comments here. What we also have done is ask our community this question, and here are some of the comments that they've come up with. They've talked about fear and doubt, doubt about making progress, doubt about being successful in the language that you're learning, that opportunity to practice that so many of you have mentioned there, maintaining your motivation when time is challenging or life is busy, expectations about what you thought you would be able to learn or the past experiences that you've had with your learning. And of course, finding time with everything that is going on around us. That is probably the biggest challenge and the most common problem that so many of us experienced. Now, many of these issues, many of these points will be addressed in today's webinar. But let's come back to our outline and that all-important question of why now is the best time to start learning or improving. Now, you may know that I love an acronym, so let's see what NOW stands for. We're going to be talking about 3 areas which will help you make 2024 your best language learning year ever. You'll learn to navigate your path. You'll learn to optimize your learning and work towards your goals. So we're going to go through this structure, this idea of navigating paths, optimizing learning and working towards our goals. And we're going to begin with navigating our path. When we set off on a journey, it's natural to want to know which direction we're heading and to have a path to follow. And there are often different routes or different methods of transport that we can take. Now, you could take an express train and reach your destination quickly, or take the leisurely route through the countryside. I was down in London just before Christmas, and I had a little extra time one afternoon. So rather than taking the tube to my destination, I decided to walk. It was just 3 or 4, I think 4 stations on the tube. But I decided to walk through the streets rather than take the tube because I had a little extra time. And what a pleasure to walk through the streets, all decorated for the holidays. And I even discovered a few new bookshops to add to my list. My main thing I like doing in London, visiting bookshops. So it's the same with language learning in a sense. You can choose your own path. You can choose a path that is very direct, or you can choose a path that is a little more circuitous or a little more touristy, if you like, the tourist route. Now, your path may be determined by the reasons that you have for learning. Perhaps you need to travel more quickly, or perhaps you can take your time. It will also be determined by your preferences, how you learn. And the most successful path, the most appropriate path, is the one that works for you. So what I'm going to suggest that you start doing to navigate this path is explore different learning styles. What works for you? I was given one of these self-watering indoor herb gardens for Christmas. And when I was setting up, I had to scan a QR code and watch a video to get the instructions to assemble it. To be perfectly honest, I would have much preferred just a traditional list of instructions. I don't know if you ever search for a how-to guide online and the results are videos. Now, personally, I prefer a written article, but it's just my learning style. How do you learn best? Do you like to start with written materials like an instruction manual or lesson notes or handouts? Or do you like to listen first and absorb new words? Perhaps you're a kinetic learner and like to do something physical to aid your learning. Or maybe you're a logical thinker and prefer a more analytical style. Only you will know which type of experience works best for you, whether it's for building a piece of furniture, assembling a herb garden, or for learning a language. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is think about the last time you assembled that piece of furniture or picked up a new skill, and reflect on what helped you master it or what helped you achieve it. Of course, it's often a combination of resources to address these different learning styles that's required, but recognizing how you learn is probably half the battle, maybe even more than half the battle. Next up, I'm going to suggest that you choose the right resources. And there are so many options available. There are courses, there are podcasts, videos, there are apps, there are even AI bots that you can practice with now. But it's easier to decide what to go for once you've identified your learning style. Perhaps for you, face-to-face lessons or online speaking practice is the right option. If you get more out of listening, or if you need to learn on the go, then podcast learning would be perfect. Maybe you're very keen on having social interactions, then group lessons would work. But most importantly, it's a combination of resources that you need to match the different needs at different times, the different needs that you have in learning, and at the different times that you have when you address these needs. So choose the right resources based on your learning style and plan your learning for maximum effect. Try to set goals, and one thing that you might consider doing is creating a plan for the coming year, but be realistic. Don't set up huge goals that are going to be really difficult to achieve. Perhaps you might consider setting SMART goals. Now, SMART goals are things that we set in business all the time. But in case you're not familiar with SMART goals, let's consider what one goal might be. So I want to improve my French listening. That's a very generic goal. It's not really achievable. It's not really countable. We can't really say, oh, I have improved my French listening by X, Y, or Z. But if we think about a SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's go through each of these in turn and think about what a specific goal is. What is it that you want to accomplish? Not how do you want to accomplish it, but what is it you want to accomplish? So going back to that example of I want to improve my listening, what about saying something like, I would like to improve my listening by watching TV in French without having to turn on English subtitles. So that's now a specific goal. Yes, it's improving your listening, but now it's a specific goal. But what does watching TV in French really mean? Does that mean a 30-second clip or a TV show episode, or is it a full-length film? We need to make this goal more measurable so that we know when we've achieved it. So let's amend this a little. I would like to improve my listening by being able to watch an episode of a TV series in French without having to turn on English subtitles. So now it's more measurable. We know exactly what we're aiming to do. Watch an episode of a TV series. But that perhaps might sound a little bit daunting. A full episode of a TV series, we need to tweak it to make it achievable. And if we're watching so closely to understand all the language, then perhaps we'll lose some of the enjoyment of watching the TV series. So we need to adapt that. We need to amend it. Perhaps we want to use subtitles to help, or we can mix and match French and English subtitles or something like that. So let's make it more achievable by tweaking our goal. And now we're going to say, I would like to improve my listening by being able to watch a 30-minute episode of a TV series using French subtitles for 15 minutes, then switching off the subtitles for the rest of the episode. That way, perhaps we've got a little extra help as we establish what's happening in the episode, and then we switch off the subtitles. Or, if you prefer, you could watch the same episode twice, once with no subtitles, then once with the subtitles. There are many ways to make goals more achievable. It's all about tweaking them just slightly so that they become more achievable. If we want to increase our motivation to complete the goal, then the thing that we need to do is make it relevant. As it stands, this goal that we've set is quite generic still, and it could be the same goal for many people. Many people might look at this and say, yeah, that's something I could do, or I could do, that would be useful for me. What we need to do is make it ours. So let's imagine we're into French history and we like period dramas. Let's add these details into our goal. So now what we're going to say, making it relevant to me, I like French period dramas. I would like to improve my listening by being able to watch a 30-minute episode of a historical TV drama series using French subtitles for 15 minutes, then switching off the subtitles for the rest of the episode. Now, of course, we could be talking about Japanese animation or Swedish crime or German documentary, whatever you're interested in. That is the relevant aspect of a SMART goal. And lastly, we need a when. When will you have achieved this goal? We need a deadline so that we can mark it as complete, basically. So, to make it time-bound, let's say by the end of April 2024, I would like to improve my listening and increase my cultural knowledge by being able to watch a 30-minute episode of a historical TV drama series using French subtitles for 50 minutes, then switching off the subtitles for the rest of the episode. Now, if we compare that to our I want to get better at French listening, we can see immediately that this SMART goal is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time-bound. Now, we can have multiple goals set at the same time, and what I would suggest is that you take a note of all the goals and then tick them off as you achieve them. And the thing is, big goals, these huge goals that we set ourselves very often at the beginning of the year, they can be hard to achieve and they can be quite overwhelming. So I would suggest that you break these big goals down into smaller, manageable milestones, perhaps monthly goals, weekly goals, even daily goals, or you could even consider setting a goal for each learning session, whatever works best for you. Okay, we now know how to navigate our path. We've talked about exploring learning styles. We've talked about choosing those right resources and planning our learning using SMART goals for maximum effect. I'm very conscious that there are lots of comments and lots of questions coming in. We will deal with questions as soon as we can, but thank you for all of these. It's great to have all of this discussion as we're working through this webinar. It's time now to optimize our learning, and we're going to begin by thinking about time. Life is very busy, as many of you suggested. It's easy to let days go past without doing any learning. And the result of this is frustration and lack of motivation. So instead, try to make the most of your time. Plan your learning around manageable chunks. There are lots of things that we do on a daily basis that we could replace or we could enhance with language learning. That could be scrolling through social media, or walking the dog, driving, going to the gym, having a coffee break, who knows? For many years, we've talked about turning your downtime into do time, turning that time that you're doing something else. If you are on the tube, if you're walking the dog, or whatever you happen to be doing, you can try to turn that into some learning time. But try to be consistent and try to do this in a manageable way. There's a well-known statistic that it takes 66 days to form a habit. And that might seem like quite a long time, but after 66 days, it really becomes quite difficult to break that habit. So another thing that we need to think about that may well come up if we're thinking about not being able to maintain a habit is challenges. Those challenges that you've mentioned, time and getting practice of the language. And if we anticipate the challenges ahead of time, if we anticipate lack of time or lack of discipline or lack of motivation, then we can equip ourselves with strategies to overcome them. You might want to remind yourself of your plan and your goals. It may even help to visualize yourself achieving those goals, having the conversation with the waiter or checking into the hotel and getting an upgrade because you spoke in the language. And I'm speaking from experience here because that actually happened to me in December. If you follow our emails, if you don't follow our emails, make sure you do. We send out weekly emails on a Monday about language learning, and on Fridays it's an actual lesson that you will get, depending on which language you're learning. But in the emails that I send out on a Monday, I've talked a lot about the fact that I've been learning Norwegian. And in December, I was in Norway, and I was checking into a hotel. I was speaking in my best Norwegian that I've been working on over the course of the year, and I did indeed get an upgrade to a lovely room with a balcony. It was very cold to be out on the balcony, but nonetheless, it was a nice room. And that was because I was using Norwegian. If you think ahead and prepare yourself for those potential challenges and roadblocks, you'll be able to work through them more easily. And ultimately, it's about adopting the coffee break method, using short chunks of learning, doing so regularly, doing so with resources which fit your life, and really trying to have as much fun and enjoy the experience as you can. Now, at this point, I'm just going to share a message that we got from a coffee break learner. This is Joy, who has been learning Spanish with us. It's quite a long message, but I'm going to read it out. I've been studying Spanish from scratch since January this year with Coffee Break Spanish. Like so many others, I don't have as much time as I would like during the day to dedicate to language study. So I've been listening to Coffee Break Spanish Season 1 on Spotify multiple times in the car during my commute to work. I also purchased the premium materials, which are fantastic. The written explanations are clear and very helpful. I'm on holiday in Gran Canaria, and I cannot believe how much Spanish has sunk in, asking for directions, ordering food and drinks, and general pleasantries. It has been a real confidence boost to be able to communicate in Spanish. This holiday has given me the motivation to keep studying Spanish with Coffee Break over the cold winter months, ready for the next Spanish holiday. So Joy has adopted that coffee break method, finding time in her day to do a little bit of learning and then seeing the benefit of that when she has travelled to Gran Canaria. Okay, we have navigated our path and optimised our learning. Now it's time to work towards our goals. Now, the first point here is take small steps. Remember, every single thing that you do in the language is a step forward. Even if you just review something that you already know, that consolidation is worthwhile and it's a step in the right direction. You could listen to one song or watch a single video lesson or learn 5 new pieces of vocabulary. One small task, and over time, those small tasks will add up and you'll build your skills. It can be challenging to stay on track, so hold yourself accountable. I like to write things like write to-do lists in my diary, and I tick things off at the end of the day, both in terms of the tasks I have to do, but also for language learning. So why not write your list in your diary or keep a note on your phone, but do so with a checklist so that you can tick things off as you go through them. Or you could even think about writing the list in the language that you're learning if you're at that stage. Also, think about having an accountability partner, a friend or a family member that you could check in with to see how you're getting on. They may see how much you're achieving, and they may even be inspired to start learning themselves. And that way you've got another person to speak with and to practice your language with. Now, it's normal to have reservations, but you need to overcome your fears. Try not to get overwhelmed. Perhaps you don't have faith in yourself because of previous experiences. Perhaps you've been to a country where the language that you're learning is spoken, and you've maybe made a mistake, or you've not managed to achieve what it is you set out to. But know that this time, when you use these techniques, that you're following a process that hundreds of thousands of learners have used successfully in the past. And I think one of the most important aspects of working towards your goals is recognizing when you achieve your goals and celebrating your efforts. Let's face it, it's hard work to learn a language. And that's why you need to make sure that you regularly celebrate the steps that you're taking. Treat yourself, go for a walk, or cook your favorite meal as you reach the end of a chapter or a section in your course. Enjoy your favorite chocolate bar or a delicious piece of fruit if you're also trying to be healthy in the new year. When you achieve something in the language. And you can even turn these treats into language learning opportunities. Listen to a beautiful song or watch a funny film. But also remember that you're not alone. There are millions of learners just like you, and you can see other people posting in the community here about their experiences. So you're part of that community and you can learn with this community. So we've talked about navigating your path and planning your journey. We've talked about setting smart goals and optimizing your learning. And we've talked about working towards achieving your goals. And of course, the question was, when should you start? Well, absolutely, you should start now. That's the key point here, that now is the best time to start. Now, I also wanted to let you know that now is a really good time to start because we are running a special New Year offer, and we can help you start 2024 as you mean to go on and save 24% with the code NY24. Or if you simply go to, I think if I press this button, that will pop up in the comments. Yep, so visit coffeebreaklanguages.com/NY24 for all the information you need about that special offer. I'm going to have a look at your comments. Thank you so much for posting all your comments here. And let's have a look. Bjorn saying there's tremendous benefit in the declaration of ground taken. Absolutely, I totally agree. Betty's saying something in a diary every night, no matter how simple, and the repetition is really helpful. Absolutely. You can get these a few lines a day diaries, and I think they're perfect because they just literally give you 3 or 4 lines. And if you can write a little bit in the language that you're learning, then perfect. It all helps. Read a few pages of a foreign language book to your pet daily. I love it. Fantastic. You might not get, well, maybe you'll be talking to your parrot and then you might get a language partner there. You may not necessarily get a response otherwise, but hopefully that will help. So Alice is saying, have a foreign language book on your bedside, which you can read 10 minutes before bed. Absolutely. So Alice is also saying, Mark has some great tips. Thank you. So there has been some chat about Deutsche Welle. So Deutsche Welle does have a great slowly spoken news reports. So if you can get Deutsche Welle, that's a great resource. And someone suggested, Tracy Lee is saying, if you have Xfinity, you can request Deutsche Welle on your TV. Hope that's helpful to some of you. Let's have a look. Some suggestions here for German TV shows. John saying, I listen to CBF with my headphones on while out on a morning walk. Great to know that. Okay, let's just take a look to see what else I'm missing here. Sharon saying, listen to music in your learning language. Absolutely. JJ, talk to yourself a little about what you can do tomorrow. I love that. I always say that if you are the best place to talk to yourself in the foreign language is in the shower. I always think that when you're thinking through what you're going to do in the day, you can talk to yourself, you can explain what you're going to do, and you can do it in the present tense if you can manage future tenses and so on. If the language you're learning has a future tense, then you can use that too. But I always think that's a great idea. And then at the end of the day, think back over what you've done, and that you can tell yourself what you've done, obviously, in the past tense, if you can manage, or one of the past tenses, then that's perfect. Tracy's saying, text with others who speak your target language, especially if you know any native speakers. Fantastic. Okay. So, some great ideas. Thank you once again to all of you for your comments here. There are a couple of questions that I want to address. First of all, a question from Paul, who is saying, is it possible for existing annual club members to access the discount and provide a year's guaranteed income? Let me think about this. If your annual membership is due for renewal, then yes, you can use the discount. If it's not due for renewal, then it's not going to work based on the settings. It's not possible for that to work. Paul's talking about the club, and the club is one of our main offerings that will help you maintain your level. It's not for complete beginners. It is for those of you who are already working on a language, perhaps at a lower intermediate or upper beginner, or indeed intermediate stage. I can show you the club just now. This is the club here, and it's basically a kind of Netflix for language learners. It's a collection of video lessons, hundreds of video lessons in French, German, Spanish, and Italian. You can see here we've also got a range of festive lessons there. Here's Francesca's video about Capodanno sugli sci. So that's celebrating New Year. It's a reading text celebrating New Year with on a ski trip. So lots and lots of content here, and it's available in French, Italian, German, and Spanish. And for one payment, then you can get access to all of those videos, over 950 videos now, for French, German, Spanish, and Italian learners. So there are monthly payments, and at the moment, let me just go to our other site here. I think I should be able to do this. There we go. So this is the page that I posted in the comments a little while ago. And if we scroll down to the bottom of this page, I'll come back up to the top in a moment. But if we scroll down to the bottom, there's information about the Coffee Break Club here. If you're not already a member of the club and you're interested in improving your languages, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely perfect for keeping the language fresh, doing a little bit of learning each day. And there you can see that at the moment with our 24% discount, it's $14.79 for 1 month or $147.99 for the annual membership. And again, that is for new members. You can either sign up for a month or you can sign up for a year and get access to 950 plus videos. And we're adding new videos all the time. There is a whole new series just about to start on Coffee Break TV. And that is the Walk, Talk and Learn series. That's coming very soon. But as I say, if we can take a quick look at this page, because this is the page where you need to go for all the information about our sale. And here you can see when it finishes. The sale ends on the 3rd of January. So we've got 5 days left, and you can select the language you're learning. And if we go to French, you'll see here that we've got French 1, 2, 3, and 4 available. You can also see that we've got our advanced courses, Il était une fois and La vérité éclate toujours. So the details for the pricing for each of these courses are here. And if you click on the button to save 24%, that will be automatically added. So you'll be able to access that. Some information about the club. And there are also bundles available of the different courses. So that's the best way to access multiple courses. If you're looking for levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, for example, you've got a bundle here that you can use. The other thing that we've introduced recently is an online membership to all, well, not all of the courses, but 13 different French courses from beginners to advanced with one membership. So that's an online membership where you can access all of the courses online. You can't download any of the resources, but it's a great way if you're not sure which level you're at, if you're planning to work quickly through lots of courses, if you're going to take that direct route that I spoke about earlier, then that is a great way to access them. And of course, there's a great discount at the moment. It's the equivalent of about $1.66 per day if you go for this option. So $607 with the code at the moment, NY24. And we've got the same for Spanish, all of the individual courses, our advanced courses, the club, our bundles, and our online membership for Spanish. With Italian, we have 3 levels, beginners level 1, intermediate level 2, and advanced level 3. And the club, the bundles, and 9 courses in the Coffee Break Italian membership, which is $455 with a discount. And exactly the same situation for German. So German 1, German 2, German 3. And of course, all of these resources are following our Coffee Break method. So all of these ideas that I've been speaking about, these will take the decision as to what you do next away from you. Obviously, you can work through these at your leisure, but there's a structure there that you can follow with these courses. We also have beginners courses available in Mandarin Chinese, in Swedish, in Scottish Gaelic, and in Portuguese. And as I say, all of that can be found at coffeebreaklanguages.com/NY24. Okay, let's have a quick look to see if we have any more suggestions. Tracy's saying, keep your own notebook with you with your own notes to reference as you learn. Fantastic. Lorna saying, I find quiz shows like Italy's L'Eredità quite handy as the questions are short. Yeah, exactly. James is learning Gerrier. Bonne année, come tu es? I'm not quite sure. I don't speak Gerrier. Daphne's saying, I have a friend in Australia who's on the same level of French as me. We meet once a week via Skype for discussion, reading a short story. Brilliant. Okay. Peggy saying, listen, listen, listen to the spoken language. Just let it bathe you in foreign sounds and let it sink in passively. After all, that's how infants learn their native language. I think there is this thing that many people think they need to understand everything when they're listening, but absolutely you don't. It's completely useful to listen to language even if you don't understand everything, because you do hear the rhythm, you hear the intonation, you hear the patterns, and then you begin to identify individual words. I am learning Gaelic at the moment, of course, with Coffee Break Gaelic. I'm the learner in Coffee Break Gaelic. And at the beginning, I really didn't understand very much, but now I'm picking up, I'm able to separate the words. I'm even able with Gaelic spelling, which is quite a challenge, to identify how words might be spelled based on what I know in the language. Let's have a double, let's look. So a couple of questions about the Italian masterclass. So the Italian masterclass is going to be starting, all being well, I'm touching wood here, on the 1st of February. So you can look forward to that. If you are an Italian learner, you've done season 3, then, well, you're working on season 3 or you've completed season 3, then the Italian masterclass will be available, all being well, on the 1st of February. That's the plan. Obviously, everyone's still on holiday at the moment, so we'll be coming back together in the next couple of weeks and finalising things. Okay, right. So in our webinar today, we've talked a lot about various things. We've talked about navigating our path. We've talked about optimizing our learning. We've talked about setting those goals and working towards them. And the fact, of course, that now is the best possible time to start learning. I would like to wish you, on behalf of the whole Coffee Break team, a fantastic 2024, a 2024 full of opportunities to practice the language that you're learning. That may not, as James is suggesting, be on a Coffee Break Italian field trip. I don't know, who knows? But I don't think it will be for this year, James. But we hope that you do get lots of opportunities to practice the language. And remember that practicing the language doesn't necessarily mean in the country where where the language is spoken. It could be, as we've suggested, in bed at night, in the shower. It could be walking your dog. It could be when you're out and about and listening to things and reading or repeating what you're learning. Practicing does not necessarily mean on location, as it were. Obviously, we've mentioned the fact that we have got our special offer on at the moment, our New Year offer, where you can start 2024 as you mean to go on and save 24% with that coupon code, NY24. But if you do visit our main page there, that's coffeebreaklanguages.com/NY24, all of those links have the code already applied. So that's the easiest way if you want to sign up for a course at the moment. It's the 29th of December, so that means there are 2 days left of 2023. I hope you achieve whatever you set out to achieve in 2023. And of course, most importantly, when it comes to 2024, do set those goals, but be reasonable, make sure they're achievable, make sure that they're broken down into learning a little bit on a regular basis and following that coffee break method. We will be back with lots of new content. As I said, there's brand new content going out on the Coffee Break Club in the form of our Walk, Talk and Learn lessons. Very excited for them to be launching, and that's coming just next week. But for now, I'd like to wish you all the very, very best for the end of 2023 and a fantastic start to 2024. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for staying until the end of this webinar. And I wish you all the very best. Thanks. And of course, happy coffee breaking.